Hello everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Zoe and I'm an artist here on YouTube. So in today's video, it's a special one. It's brought to you in collaboration with Arrtx, who very kindly reached out to me relatively recently and asked me if I would be interested in trying this 48 marker set. And of course, I love Arrtx products, so I said yes please, I would love to try them. So yeah, they've been sent to me, so thank you Arrtx for sending those out. Really appreciate it, and really excited as well. I'll get into that in a little bit, but basically yeah, in my house we have multiple Arrtx products anyway. So the first product I used from them was the jelly gouache, so I've been using those for a few years. I have the skin tone set of the ACRYLIC markers, which are really good. That's the Oros, the Arrtx Oros set. I have one of the sets of the brush acrylic markers, the ones like with the white barrel that you see everyone using in a lot of videos. I've got one of the smaller sets of those that I bought for myself last year, and yeah, I've bought Arrtx gifts, like products for people as well. So really big fan of Arrtx already. So I was very excited to receive and to be asked and to be sent a product to try. Absolutely, yeah, over the moon. But if we go on to these pens, because that is what this video is all about, and I can talk about how happy I am for this collaboration in a bit. So basically, it's a set of 48 markers. They are, as you can see, the pump action bullet type marker, which a lot of people, you'll be familiar with something like a Posca or a Molotow paint marker, and it's that same sort of system. So it works with a pump action and a valve. So the valve controls the ink flow to the nib. So the thing you got to bear in mind with these markers is that because they're free flowing ink, you have to make sure you shake them really well. And I found with these pens, well, I remember to say this because I feel like this is quite important. So you have to shake them quite regularly if you're using them for a while. In this video, I made an artwork and it took me about 2.5 hours to complete. It's sped up in the video, don't worry about that. But I found I had to shake the markers between each use as I was putting them down and picking them back up again. So that's just something to bear in mind, so you get a nice consistent flow of colour. That's not a negative on the marker, it's actually just good practice with this kind of marker. So if you're not used to them, it's something to bear in mind. So to activate these pens, they're like the other bullet markers. You just shake them really well, and then you press the nib. You can either pump the nib up and down on a bit of paper or another surface, or you can hold the nib down. I prefer to pump because I don't want loads of the paint coming out in one go. These markers were really good and didn't do that. I did try them by just holding the nib down, but other brands I've had accidents doing that. But yeah, not with any of these that I tried that on. But you just basically, like, you just press it or you pump up and down, and you can see the nib start to get saturated with the colour. And once it's fully saturated, it's ready to use. So another thing I noticed with these is some other brands that have this design marker, some of the markers take a really long time to activate. These were super fast. I think they're actually the fastest set that I've used to activate, which was a really great a great feature of these pens, because I mean, there was 48. I was prepared to sit there for an hour activating them, and it probably took me 10 minutes to do all of them. So yeah, that was really great. Much better on the wrist for the like joints and you know. I know a lot of us artists can be a bit prone to hand problems, so not having to spend an hour activating a set of pens is a great thing. But yeah, so back to how excited I am. Like I said, I've been using Arrtx for a while, and they were one of the brands that I kind of really wanted to work with, so I was absolutely over the moon to receive an email. A little bit of a spoiler alert, I got another message from Arrtx's Japanese account as well, so I had one from Arrtx Japan and an email from their media people. So this is from the email that I got, and yeah, so next week's video is going to be another Arrtx review video, and it's going to be on the 60 set of the brush markers, and I think it's like an anime set. But that's all I'm going to say about that. That video is next week. I've already started working on it. I know what I'm doing, but I'm not going to go into more about that because that video is a different video and this is a different product. So yeah, I'm super happy. Yeah, it's been yeah, I'm great. I'm over the moon. But now onto this artwork. So normally I'm quite mixed media. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I like to mix different medias, like paint markers and alcohol markers and even watercolor sometimes, and like fine liners and brush liners and gel pens, and I mix them all together. But I didn't want to do a video where I had to bring in my other products, so I decided to do an artwork which is a little bit, it's artwork that I've kind of wanted to try for a while in this style, but I haven't. So it's a little bit different for me than what I normally do. But I'm really, like, I had a lot of fun doing it, so I think you're going to see a lot more of kind of stuff like this from me in the future. But I really wanted to just play on the marker's strengths. So we've got this nice big 3mm bullet tip. So I just wanted to make really bold colours and, well, they're bold colours, but you know what I mean, bold blocks of colour and nice thick bold lines. So the only product that I use in this video that is not Arrtx is my sketchbook. Now, if you're wondering what this sketchbook is, it is the Talon's Art Creation sketchbook, and it's really nice for these markers because it's really smooth. Now, that brings me on to another point about these markers, is that I was expecting them to chew the paper up, like other markers of this type, and so what I would do in this situation would be to do a layer, let it dry, because that first layer like seals the paper, and then I would do another 2 layers at least to like smooth it out a bit. But I was expecting them to behave like that. They did not chew the paper up. Granted, if I really worked at a bit like an area, they might, but just by not pressing overly hard, which you don't want to do with these markers, by the way, because they're pump action. So just a bit of gentle work with the marker, and yeah, and two nice layers, making sure those layers are completely dry between. Yeah, I did not, there's a tiny little bit of pilling. It's hardly anything. When you touch the artwork afterwards, it's very much the texture of paint rather than the texture of peeled up paper. So that was one of the big things for me with these markers that I think most impressed with, to be honest. I mean, there was a lot of things about them that I really liked, like, the colour range is amazing. You get a lot of colours so there's a lot of browns which you don't normally see in a set, and I always find that when you buy sets of pencils or pens, paints, whatever, it's always lacking in like the earthy tones. So I was super happy to see that. And yeah, it's a great mix of colours. The only thing that I would have changed was, and I've said this in other videos, there's a gold and a silver. I probably am unlikely to use them very much at all. If I do gold and silver, it's normally like tiny stars, and I do it with a gel marker. So I would have happily foregone the gold and the silver for a couple of grey tones. There's actually only one proper grey there. But that, it's not an issue. That's just a personal preference there. Would have liked to have, seen more greys rather than the metallics. But, that's my only thing about the colour range. Normally I'm moaning that there's too many bright yellows. There are not. There's a good mix of yellows there. So yeah, just all positives so far, and not really any negatives, which is great. Yeah, basically what else can I say about them? Because I want to talk about the artwork as well. Yeah, so yeah, the links are below. So there'll be a list of links below to various places you can buy them throughout the world, like online. I'm from the UK, so I can tell you that in the UK, on the Arrtx website itself, they are £38.56, which makes them less than £1 a marker. That's phenomenal value. Absolutely worth getting for that price. I think, to be honest, I would be, if these were £60, I would, or even more, I'd probably have been happy with that. So they're great value. They're just, yeah, you can see how vibrant they are as well. And also from the swatches, you could see that they work really well on black paper as well. So you know they're going to work on the tones in between black and white, because you've seen me use them on, well, this is like an ivory paper, and my swatches were done on black and white. But yeah, so onto the artwork. As I said, I wanted to play to the strengths of the markers and use bold lines and bold blocks of colour. I think I've done quite well at doing that. I decided to draw like a lot of things that I've wanted to draw for a while but have never got round to. So we've got the snake. I did do a snake quite recently. While I was kind of thinking about what to do for this video, I did do not the same, but a similar snake, like messing around with, and I liked it enough to decide that actually, yes, that is what I'm going to do in this video. I've wanted to draw fish for a while. These are very simple fish, but kind of along the lines of what I would like to have a go at. So they were quite fun. Originally, I did like a sketch page of just ideas for this as well. So I had like one fish and I had some other stuff. I had two ladybirds. One was like more realistic and one was very cartoony. So I basically rearranged the format of how I did them, like they're in different places to how they were on my sketch. And I got rid of one of the ladybirds, the cartoony one, in favour of doing the two fish facing away from each other. I thought that was cute. And as you can see at the bottom, there is what we call in the UK a woodlouse. I don't know if they have another name elsewhere, but I can imagine they probably do. But if they don't, hi, here's a woodlouse at the bottom. I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so I really like as well putting these starbursts behind things now. It gives it like quite a pop-arty sort of, I don't know, a bit of impact, a bit of visual interest. So I've basically been doing that on everything and putting stars on everything. And yeah, so here's the rest of the page. And the sketching I've discovered, so this was sketched, I didn't use an Arrtx product to sketch it with, but I'm colouring over it, so it doesn't matter. This is a Kohinoor pencil. It's one of those magic pencils, great fun, produces beautiful sketches. So I think I will be sketching a lot of my future artworks in these because they were just a lot of fun. And they're quite light, so if you're using something like a paint marker, they cover beautifully with the paint marker. Yeah, not a problem to cover that pencil at all, which was fab. So yeah, going on to the ladybird here. My daughter loves ladybirds, so I thought I would draw one. It's definitely the most realistic thing on the page. I mean, it's not photorealistic, but it's not stylized either. And yeah, I wanted to draw a strawberry. It's not the best strawberry in the world, but I like it. And at this point, I think, yeah, I basically, from the ladybird onwards, I started working on multiple sketches at once, because they are really quick drying pens, but there is still a drying time there. So to like maximize my tone drawing, I started doing like multiple of them at once. So that, oh yeah, that white is incredibly opaque. They're all opaque. Even the yellow is more opaque than any other yellow I've seen. It did need 2 coats. It's the only colour, I believe, that needed 2 coats to cover those pencil lines. So that's really impressive. And to be honest, I think I could have gotten away with not double coating it because they weren't obvious underneath. So that's a real testament to the opacity of the paints. I didn't expect that yellow to be that opaque, but yeah, really, really good. They layer over stuff really well with not much incident. And themselves, like some markers I found don't really want to layer over themselves very much. It can depend. Like Poscas, if you use Poscas on a marker paper, they go down better, but they don't like to layer, I've found. Whereas, I mean, I've not done that here, but this is super smooth paper. And I can imagine that it's not going to be too different from the paper that I've used that is designed for paint markers. It would be interesting to try them on that at some point. I do have another sketchbook somewhere because I finished the last one I had. But it's been a real joy. I don't normally sit down at my desk to draw for that long. Like most of my artworks are an hour or less. I'm quite an impatient person, but this took me, minus the sketch, because the sketch probably took me about half an hour. It was very roughly done, because I knew I didn't need loads of detail, so I probably spent about half an hour on that sketch. But the actual using the markers and recording was 2.5 hours, and it went so fast. I had a great time. I was sad to have finished it, to be honest. And I've not had a chance to use the markers since. I've not actually made any art since I've done this. But I think I'm going to get those markers out tonight. Yeah, great fun. As for storage, I believe I'm going to look on my phone. I heard somewhere that they recommend to store them upside down. I don't know whether it's these ones or the brush ones. Instructions for usage. Ooh, usage. No. Notice. Bear with me. No, I can't find anything about storage there at a quick glance. My recommendation for storing markers is to store them flat, so store them horizontally. But with paint markers, what I like to do is to store them horizontally, but when I select my colours for an artwork, I pull them all from, most of my markers are in like a thing on my desk, so I then turn them upside down for a few minutes before I start to use them. I found that this just improves flow early on in the artwork after they've been sat for a little while. Not so much for these markers, but like brush markers, I've found that that's quite an important thing. Found that accidentally, and I'll talk about more in the next video when I do actually use brush acrylic markers. But yeah, so store them horizontally, and then just before use, put them vertical, upside down, and yeah, they should work absolutely grand. Yeah, I'm going to leave you with the art for a while, and I will come back to you at the end of the video. So I hope you enjoy it, and my rambling hasn't put you off. Okay, so I'm back after that little break there. Just final thoughts on these markers and little reminders. So my final thoughts are that these are fantastic bullet pump action markers. It's a type of marker I haven't used for a while, and it's reminded me how much I love them, so I'm definitely going to be using these on the regular, especially because they're great at filling large areas, so good fun. The colour selection is outstanding. They're vibrant, they look how flat they look on the page. The proof of how good the markers are is actually there. Great product, and I'm very, very happy with them. And yeah, there's the artwork all done. But yeah, quickly, thank you very much to Arrtx for sending them out to me. I really appreciate that you asked me to promote your products. Very happy and over the moon, and thankful to you as a company for allowing me to do that. And to everyone watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with me. Links to these markers in the description below, and don't forget to shake them before use. Very important. Okay, thank you, love you, and bye.